Finding no space books in a secular world can be very, very difficult, but today I'm going to be making things easier for you because I'm bringing you some of my favorite authors. These are my go-to authors when I know that I want to read and I want to binge a lot of books by them. These are the ones I go to. I'm going to be honest with you, every single time I go to Barnes & Noble, now most of the time I mainly go just for the vibes, just to hang out and just to get a coffee or a little treat. Most of the time I don't end up getting anything. If I do get something, I normally will pick something out from the young adult section. But I feel like it is getting harder and harder to be able to find books that don't have any smut in them. And as a Christian girl, I don't want any of that stuff in my books, okay? I want them to be not squeaky clean because I'm okay with some language, but I just want them to be wholesome and not full of spite. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. Just keep your clothes on, please. A really good thing is that once you find an author that you like, chances are that they have a backlist and you can start reading all of the books that they have published previously. If you want to see more content like this, please make sure to follow, make sure to like, because I am here to bring you all of the no space books and I am here to help you fill your shelves with books that don't have any space. Today we're going to start with one of my all-time favorites, Katherine Center. I have a little list here with a few books and I'm just going to tell you just a few of the titles that I have for you. I have actually read every single one of these. They do have some language, but they don't have any spice, and they do have like a few things that you may find triggering. So definitely make sure to look up the triggers so that you can go in fully knowing what to expect. So here we have How to Walk Away, What You Wish For, Hello Stranger, The Bodyguard, The Rom-Commers, and The Shippers. Now, if I would recommend you to start with one, I would definitely say The Bodyguard. That one was the very first one that started me with my Katherine Center journey, and I loved it so much. How to Walk Away is also another one of my favorites, and I highly recommend that one. Again, just so you know, these do have language, but they don't have any spice. Also, Katherine Center is the queen of rom-coms. She is so funny. Next, we have Courtney Walsh. I have read quite a few of her books. From the list that I am showing you today, I have read Christmas with a Crank, My Phony Valentine, The Summer of Yes, and Brighter Than Before. The Happy Life of Isadora Bentley is one that I still have to read, and I am so excited to dive into that one. I don't know about you, but when I find an author, I always like to leave a few books without reading them because I don't know when I'm going to be in a slump. So I try to save them for when I am going to be in a slump and I know that I want to go back to one of my comfort authors. But I highly recommend Courtney Walsh. She is amazing. Her newest release is Brighter Than Before, and that one has a character that is in her 40s, and I found that to be so amazing. Basically, all the books that I have read by her have either been 4 or 5 stars for me. The one that I would recommend that you start with by Courtney Walsh would be Brighter Than Before. That one is the one that I recently read, and I rated that one 6 stars. It was just absolutely amazing. And Courtney Walsh has no language and no spice. Next, we have Becca Kinzer, and I love Becca Kinzer so much. I remember finding her books, and she was one of the very first authors that I found that actually has some faith themes in her books, and I was just so surprised and so happy that I was finding that because I was so used to reading books just with secular themes and nothing about Christianity, and most of the time the books that I was reading I was having to skip over the spice. But when I found her and I found that her books were closed door, I was so happy. On the list that I am showing you by Becca Kinzer, we have Not What We Pictured, Love in Tandem, Very Merry Matchup, First Love Second Draft, and Dear Henry, Love Edith. Okay, from this list I have read Not What We Pictured and I rated that one 5 stars. That one is her most recent book. I did read Love in Tandem. That one was my very first book by Becca Kinzer and I loved it so much. I have not read A Very Merry Matchup, but I am looking forward to jumping into that one hopefully during Christmas time. I did read First Love Second Draft and absolutely loved it. That book is so funny. I was cackling. I was also cackling with Not What We Pictured. And then I recently, just last month, read Dear Henry, Love Edith, and also I was laughing. It is so good. All of these books have been 5-star reads for me, and I highly recommend Becca Kinzer. If I were to tell you what book to start with, I would definitely say Not What We Pictured. That one was so funny, and I just absolutely love it. Next, we have Anna Conwell. I absolutely love Anna Conwell and her books. I recommend all of them. I have not read all of them. I think I have one series that I haven't read by her, but I just absolutely love her. I love her writing style, and now that she came out with Romantasy, let me tell you something. I am so obsessed with her romanticies as well. On the list that I am showing you today, we have But He's My Grumpy Neighbor, But He's My Roommate, But He's My One Regret, But He's My Fake Fiance, Chestnut Checkers, and All That Glitters. Chestnut Checkers and All That Glitters is actually part of her young adult series, I believe, and I think that she has one that just came out that is also part of that series, which I am so excited to read. The Carter Brothers series, I think that's what the series is called. But He's My Grumpy Neighbor, But He's My Roommate, But He's My One Regret, But He's My Fake Fiance. That series is so amazing. I highly recommend it. I do recommend starting from the very beginning, so with He's My Grumpy Neighbor, because I think that if you start with the first in the series, you can kind of get the feel of all the other couples and all the other characters and how they are. This is an interconnected series, and I highly recommend her books. She is also very funny. Her books don't have language and they don't have any faith themes. They are just sweet, wholesome rom-coms. Let's talk about another queen of rom-coms that I absolutely love, and that is Emma Sinclair. Let me show you the list. Okay, here we have The 12 Holidays, If All Else Fails, The Serendipity, Royally Rearranged, As You Ice It, and The Buy-In. Now, let me tell you the ones that I have read. I have read If All Fails. I am currently reading The Serendipity. I read Royally Rearranged and The Buy-In. I loved all those books so far. I am really, really loving The Serendipity. I rated If All Else Fails 4.5 stars, I think, and I rated The Buy-In 5 stars. Royally Rearranged was a 4.5 star read for me, and right now I'm reading The Serendipity, and that one is so much fun, and I think I'm going to rate that one 5 stars. I don't know yet. I'm not that far into it, but I really, really think I will. I'm just having the best time. The one I recommend that you start with is The Buy-In from the ones that I have read. That one was so much fun, and that one is part of a series, so just be ready to go into a series. It is an interconnected series. I have not read the rest in the series because I literally just jumped into The Serendipity and I was reading other books, but I do intend to go back and read the whole series. Again, I highly recommend Emma Sinclair. Her books don't have language. I don't think from the ones that I have read, I haven't read any language, and they don't have any spice, and she's just amazing, and also an amazing resource to follow if you are an author and you want more author bookish content. Definitely recommend Emma Sinclair. This author that I have next, I recently discovered last year, or maybe even this year. I can't remember when. I think it was last year. So I haven't read many of her books, but I am so looking forward to reading more books by her, and that author is Melissa Ferguson. In my list today, we have Meet Me in the Margins, How to Plot a Payback Without a Clue, The Perfect Rom-Com, Famous for a Living, The Soul-to-Sec War. Now, I have read 2 from this list, and those 2 are Without a Clue and The Perfect Rom-Com. The Perfect Rom-Com is exactly what it sounds like. It's a rom-com. It was like a really fun read, and I think I rated that one 4.5 stars. And then I also read Without a Clue, and that one was a little bit different. It had a little bit of mystery, and I really, really enjoyed that one as well. Now, if I were to recommend you to start with one of the 2 that I read, I would recommend that you start with The Perfect Rom-Com, just because it was the first one I read and I had a blast with that one. But if you like mystery in your stories, then I would recommend Without a Clue for sure. Sarah Monzon is another author that I discovered last year during the fall time, and I proceeded to binge some of her books, and they were so much fun. So the very first one that I was obsessed with was Hearts in Circulation, and then I proceeded to read the rest of that series, and I finished that series. And then I also read All's Fair in Love and Christmas, and that one was such a fun read. And then I recently just read Bookmarked for Love, and it was so much fun. My favorite book by that series, I do think, is Hearts in Circulation. I did love the last one that I read, Bookmarked for Love, but I do think that my favorite one would be Hearts in Circulation. That one was so much fun, and I highly recommend that series. And I would say start the series in order, just because I did not read it in order. I don't think it affected me in any way, but I would just say just stick to the order, just because I think you're going to understand a little bit better, get to know the characters in order, and it'll be just better for you. So that would be my recommendation. But if you're looking for a Christmas read, I highly recommend All's Fair in Love and Christmas. Kate Watson was also one of the first authors that I discovered when I was first going into my no spice journey, and I have read so many of her books, but on the list today we have Baby Llama Drama, It's Always Sunny, Don't Go Faking My Heart, Strawberry Fields for Never, Since We've No Place to Go, and Truly Medley Deeply. The ones that I have read from this list are Since We've No Place to Go, Truly Medley Deeply, and Baby Llama Drama. Actually, Baby Llama Drama, I read that one just last week and it was really, really fun. A little bit sad. I did almost cry a little bit in that book, but it was a really, really good read. I highly recommend it. And I really did love Truly Medley Deeply. And one of my favorite books by Kate Watson is Since We've No Place to Go. I highly recommend it for Christmas time. Please, it is a must read. So if you're going to be setting a TBR for Christmas, definitely add Since We've No Place to Go. Becky Wade was the very first author that I discovered in the Christian realm. So I started by reading her very first book, Memory Lane, and then I read Uneasy Street, and then I read Rocky Road. I think that's the order that they go in. I have not read Turn to Me, Stay With Me, and Let It Be Me. That is a series that is on my TBR, but I highly recommend her series, A Sons of Scandal romance. And of course, you have to start with Memory Lane. Cindy Steele is another author that I absolutely love. She has no spice, maybe very little language. I can't really remember on the language, but I want to say just little. If she has some, it is very little, but I love her books so much and I highly recommend them. On the list today we have A Christmas Spark, Rebel Summer, The One with the Kiss Cam, Stranded Ranch, Faking Christmas, and The Cowboys Game. The book I would recommend that you start with, if you are going to read it right now, definitely read The One with the Kiss Cam. I love that book so much. Or if you want to end the summer with a bang, definitely read Rebel Summer. That one was such a fun read. My latest read by her was The Cowboys Game, and I absolutely loved it. The beginning of that book is absolutely hilarious, and I highly recommend. You have to read Cindy Steele. Latisha Sexton is a Christian romance author that I highly recommend. I have read some of her books. I have not read all of her books, but I have read some of her, and I just love that she adds faith themes and romance, and they are just so spoony. On the list today, we have The Grump's Bodyguard, which I did read, Single Dad Center, that one is on my TBR, The Heart of Christmas, Bram Baxter Marries the Wrong Sister, Never Ending Mercy, I did read that one and it made me sob, and Everlasting Love is her latest release. It just came out this week and I highly recommend her books. I think that if you're going to start with one by her, I highly recommend Never Ending Mercy. It is so good. Just get the tissues ready because it's going to make you cry. Sarah Sutton is an author that is perfect for young adults, and I have read one of her books and all of the rest are on my TBR and I cannot wait to read them. I also just discovered her last year and I read the first book by her this year, so I am so excited to bring her to you if you're looking for young adult books. On the list today we have Beauty and the Bad Boy, which is the one that I read. The second book in this series is already out, so you can definitely check that one out. Rebelling with the Bad Boy, Two Kinds of Us, Can't Catch My Breath, Dreaming About the Boy Next Door, Fraternizing with the Enemy. All of these are on my TBR except for Beauty and the Bad Boy. I did read that one and I highly recommend it. It was so good. I rated it 5 stars. I just gave you so many authors. I hope that you check them out and I hope that you love them. And now I am going to very quickly just give you other authors that I absolutely love that I think you should check out. Most of these are indie authors and they are Christian and they write romance. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about them. So let's get into those. Here we have A Brewed Awakening. Pepper Basham is amazing and I highly recommend her books. The Roads We Follow by Nicole Dees. She is a Christian author and I highly recommend her. Flame Theory by C.F.E Black is amazing. That is a 6-star read for me and she writes for young adults and adults and I highly recommend that you read this book. Whitney Amazine with Stages. That one is a young adult book and I highly recommend it. I also rated it 5 stars. How to Fall for a Cowboy by Cassandra Joel is a Christian romance and her books are short and just so easy to read. Rebecca Jo Jackson is a romance author. She has no spice and no language, and this one is Olivia's Only Pretending. Next we have Savannah Scott. I read her books recently and she has no spice and no language. Shelbey Kendall, Not a Fan. That one is a very fun read. If you are a fan of Katherine Center, you're definitely going to love her books and I highly recommend that you check her out. Rora Noor is a dark romance author that has no spice and no language and no gore. So if you were looking for like a darker romance, I highly recommend her. B.R. Goodwin also adds a few faith themes in her stories. I don't think this one has faith themes, but I highly recommend this one. Flame Heart by Dalton Bequette and Emily Bequette. They are an author duo and they are authors for young adult stories and I highly recommend this one as well. Haley Jarvis is a romantasy author and Bounty Hunter is an amazing duology. Next we have Cooper Over Bailey is a cinnamon roll by Jen Atkinson. I highly recommend Jen Atkinson's books. She doesn't have any spice or any language. Drew Taylor is a Christian author. Her books have faith themes, no spice, and no language. Through Quick and Quinn is by Erica Sherlock, and I highly recommend her books. Her are more for young adults, and I think that she is now coming out with an adult story. I'm not sure, but that one is super fun as well. The Concealed by S.K. Horton. This one is a series for young adults. It has no language and it has no spice. The Class She Skips by Ella Marie. Ella Marie is a Christian author. Her books have no spice and no language. Sometimes Love is Worth the Risk by Laura Hawkins, also another author who writes Christian romance. Her books have no spice and no language. There you have it, sweet friends. If you like these kinds of videos and you want more, make sure to subscribe and like so that I will know and the algorithm would know that you like content like this. I will be bringing you more videos soon. If you have any ideas or any videos or any topics that you want me to cover, make sure to leave them down below so that I can check them out. I will be leaving links in the caption for my list of 400 plus no spice books. Make sure to check those out. That is an affiliate link and that helps me to be able to make more videos like these for you. If you have any books that you think I should add to my TBR or any authors that you think I should check out, definitely let me know in the comments, and make sure to follow me on all of my platforms. I'll leave the links for that down below as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.